Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, and can I get a motion to approve the minutes from June 8th, 2026?
Motion. Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you very much. Old business. All right, so Philip, go ahead if you wanted to.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the first item for business is consideration to approve a new brand guide and logo for the DDA. You engaged the services of Ms. Katie Quattlebaum with Elevating Missions Consulting to help determine a kind of new direction for the DDA in a couple of different ways. And so she's actually here today to be able to present this to you. I'll let her go over the details, but just wanted to have this on for your consideration to approve.
So after multiple conversations with Tracy and about Tyrone and felt pro-business, but also and I wanted to bring in the colors of existing Tyrone. Here we are. Again, but we've got the Tyrone green, the Irish green. So this is a style guide, tells us the logo, the branding, the colors, everything that should go with it, and where all those colors. Do we have any questions or thoughts about that?
Looks
Yeah.
good.
You want it to look more like a shamrock at all, or?
Had one of those options in there, didn't you?
I did have one of where that was more in a shamrock shape, and
There was,
cut that one, but we can always go back to that one. The same things can go within the shamrock shape. Separate, but also still.
I was just looking at the Tyrone logo with the train, or shamrock train, yeah.
I think I'd like to see it in the shamrock shape. At least get a, get a visual.
so the same images, just. in
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
shape.
the images are great.
We like the colors.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, cool.
either way, even with the shamrock, it still keeps it three colors. Branded part of the Tyrone.
We'll bring that back. We'll put this one next to the shamrock shaped one, and we'll have that available for you at the next meeting, so you can take a look. Once we have that established, I'd like to go forward and purchase a new cover for our tent with the new logo on it. So we'll have that. Right now, we'll have for next events, we'll have the old logo and things like that on there. But that's just something that we'll. Very good.
Really good work.
The next item that we had was related, and it was regarding the website that Katie was able to put together. Do you want to control it and kind of navigate through?
Okay, so here is a mock-up of the website. Again, logo is easy to change out, keeping that same color scheme. So I thought through everything that I thought we really needed to encompass in downtown Tyrone and that the DDA need to have on a website. There's still a few more things that I think we might want to add, and I might have added too much in certain areas, but I really just wanted to give us kind of a bigger picture of everything that the Tyrone DDA has to offer, which I think is a lot because you actually have a large amount of properties within the DDA. So right here, very clear on the front. I do want to get a few more new photographs to add on here. Tells us when we're established, when your monthly meetings are, all of that. About the DDA, I have some featured businesses that we can switch out whenever we'd like. If we don't want to do it regularly, we can say featured this quarter, but there are so few that are standard businesses downtown. I think it's really good to be able to feature them on a regular basis. Tells more about Tyrone itself. Our links down here, and if people want to get on a mailing list. So all of those links there click through to other things.
Okay. Can you scroll back down just a minute on the featured businesses? This might be a good opportunity for us to highlight new businesses. So like, what's the one that's up here that took over Sonic? I forget.
Oh, no.
That's not in the
Orleans
business
Brews.
district.
It's not in it?
It's
Yeah,
not,
it's
it's
outside of
across the road,
downtown.
but you do have the place that just took over is Pisano's.
Yes, we can
So
feature
that's in
them.
there. And we could, basically, I can duplicate this section, so we could have featured this month, and we could also have new to Tyrone. So,
Complete Hardware has new ownership. He's revamping a whole bunch in there, stuff like that.
I really like this because it highlights what we have.
The businesses, I mean, you obviously know who is within the district, but do they know that they are in a directory or will be in a directory? Have they been contacted?
I don't think that we've actually done a tremendous amount of outreach to them yet, but that's a next step that we want to make sure that we are very visible to the businesses. So if y'all are comfortable with this direction, then we have this resource and we can then come to them with something already on the table. And
Most of them will have a logo or
yes,
maybe we can get that and.
we can add all those in. Also, throughout this process, I discovered there are a number of businesses in the DDA jurisdiction that do not have business licenses. So I'm discussing that with Philip and Dee, so we'll be able to address that.
We're going to
on-
put those on there as well.
So currently, only businesses with business licenses are on here. And so we can add the other ones once they're in compliance with town standards. So up here, you have Explore Downtown. So it tells you more about downtown Tyrone, where people can park. I think that's really important. And then we have this lovely feature where they can actually see the interactive DDA district, and they can see all of the businesses that are within that DDA district. So we can click in here. I need to update that one because I think found in favor. So some of them, I'm still trying to figure out what their business name that they actually go by is. So I've been going through and cleaning some of those up, but this is easy to clean up. But we've got every single business within that DDA district that has a business license. And then I have something here if they want to add their business. Right now, that's just an email function, but we can have it as a web link, so it's a form that they would fill out to give us their information.
Katie, this does not include home occupations. It's just like brick and mortar.
Yeah, so the
establishments.
only home occupations on here are ones that would actually sell from their home. I think there's one on there that's like a Scentsy, like the candle place. But no, regular home occupations, no. I wanted to make sure that we had the public spaces on here because I think that's an important aspect of the DDA. Oh, that picture's not coming through. And then we have dining and coffee. I'm going to click on the full business directory in a minute. So you'll see there's a lot of different links that'll take you different places on the website in multiple places. Events calendar. I want this website to be as easy to maintain as possible, so it goes to the town's calendar. I don't think we want to maintain our own calendar until you get more events. So right now, when you click on that calendar, it comes over to the town calendar. We'll do the same thing with permitting too, so that we're not recreating something if it already lives on the DDA's website.
Can we open that within our page?
Hmm?
Can you open that within our page?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah,
doesn't
so
take us
I can
away.
have it open as a separate window, or I can just have it open here and replace that page. So we have the town event calendar.
We might be able to embed it as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I could embed it there.
That we don't
Yeah.
want to leave.
I went ahead and put on here the ones that we know that you have. So you have the farmer's market and then anything else that's coming up regularly on here so they can see without having to build a full calendar in. Up here at the top, we have a business directory. So they can click on here. Again, they have the map that's interactive within Google. And then they can also come down here. Dining and coffee is separated here on the top. You'll notice this is the new place. This is what's on their website. They've put AI for the sign, but this is the place that's bought Spezzano's. So we can take Spezzano's off at some point, but right now it appears online that they're still using this Spezzano's name since that has recognition. And then here is the full business directory with every business in downtown Tyrone that has an active business license. So separated into categories, every single business. Those. And then we will link these over to permits, business licenses, anything like that that they might need on a regular basis. And then I do want to, this section doesn't click anywhere right now, but I do want to add a grants and incentives section that we could add where we could put grants that they could possibly apply for that might be through the DDA, they might be through the Atlanta Regional Commission or something like that. But we could have an active grants list there that they can see. This is not active yet, but I do think this is something that we want. So I have it as a placeholder right now. Available properties. I think properties that the DDA owns that you don't already have under contract and or businesses. I know Shecraft, I think if you haven't already got a new business in there so that local businesses could actually have, if there's availability in the downtown district on the website here. And then the About section, which a lot of this information is in other places on the website, but this clicks over from the main page to tell you about the mission, the vision. You can go to meeting videos. Again, no need to recreate the wheel. This clicks over to the town's website to view the videos and to view the meeting agenda and packets. And then I have the boundary here again that people can play around with, as well as your stationary PDF of the DDA map. And then here are all of your lovely names and your information. Oh, add John's email underneath there. And then I have some other things that coming soon so that you could have your strategic plan here and your branding guidelines. Okay, thoughts, questions?
Oh, very nice.
That's really good. That's really good. Do we have a golf cart map or anything like that for people for access?
We can
We
put that,
can.
we can put that in there.
Yeah.
Parking and that type of thing, yeah.
Yeah, we could put it with the parking.
I have a good one that was for night market that I think that we can utilize. Yeah, anywhere we can link to the town website, I think is a benefit. It's less to maintain, especially calendars, because I know Philip has staff or Philip that update it on a regular basis. So no need to duplicate work.
And I know we've talked about in the future having some facade grants for local business owners. Obviously, we're not ready for that yet. We need money, but it might be a good thing to put on our page in the future is some type of link to apply for a
It
grant.
had
It was
that.
on there on
It
the
was
last
on there.
page.
Oh, it was?
Yeah,
Okay.
it even said facade
Did it?
grants. Yeah.
Sorry, I
No,
must have
you're fine. And it
been
doesn't
spaced
actually
that second.
link anywhere yet. But a large part of what I do in my life is fundraising. So
Okay.
I've spent 17 years fundraising for nonprofits. So I have a list that I think that we can incorporate in there. So not just grants from the town, but other grants that they might want to apply to that we can link to that are annual grants. So again, as little updating as possible. We just don't want random grants out there, but things that are going to pop up every year so that they can look at those as annual grants. And there are a good number out there.
Payback grants.
The options are for us to have grants, which are just gifted, to the, well, not gifted, but that are granted to the businesses. The other option is low-interest loans, which a lot of DDAs offer as well. And those, you'll pay back. It'll be a shorter term, but a much lower interest rate. They're usually matching those types.
That structure I built the structure for the Fayette County Development Authority, so it's easy to have that structure if we need it, but,
So from, just from, I guess, looking down the road, how easy is it to maintain this site? How changes if we were to add
it's
things?
super easy. So I deliberately did not build this in WordPress or code.
Okay,
This is very easy. You can literally drag and drop a photograph. Anybody could change this. I wanted to make it as simple as possible so that you're not having to pay a website company to maintain your website regularly. I did buy the domain because it was $10 a year.
what was it again? It was.
Downtowntyrone.org
Yeah,
was
yeah.
actually available. I think it was $9.99 a year. So I went ahead and bought that so that we had that. So when we're good with the website, I can launch it into that domain.
And then the big question for me is, how do we get people directed to this?
Yeah, so we're going to have to utilize social media
Okay.
and some type of outreach to local businesses. Not sure how, I haven't had this conversation with you yet, but while we're doing, I'm helping the town with the comp plan. So I think that's a good time for us to mention it too, where we're already going to have a lot of already communication going out that we could be utilizing that, so we're not duplicating efforts there. But I mean,
When do you start that, by the way? Just curious.
The comp plan's already begun. We're in the preliminary public outreach stage. So we've had our first public engagement meeting, and our next phase is actually developing the survey and putting out all of that information to solicit input from the public. We'll, in conjunction with that, we'll have maybe some outreach specifically to the businesses that will get this to them. We'll probably have some cards and things that we'll drop off. We'll have, we have all of their email addresses from D, so we'll send them an email
okay.
blast. Yeah. Just let them know that they're a part of something, whether they're part of, they may be part of the chamber. We talked about that too, having a little bit of a discussion with the chamber to say, hey, we exist and we're kind of doing some similar promotion of businesses that may or may not be part of the chamber. But yeah.
And how quickly could this be online once?
5 seconds.
We'll
I literally just have to change the
I mean,
domain.
I thought it would be harder than that. I mean,
we'll
I
change
literally
the-
just have to change the domain.
okay.
Yeah, we'll change the logo, different things like that, but I'd like to get y'all's approval for it tonight, so that when, Katie's comfortable with, everything being in place, that we can just publish it, and we can start that outreach.
And I'll lay out a social media plan for everything to promote it on social.
What do you
And I
put-
think we'll get a good article in the paper too.
What do you put that out on, as far as socials?
So we'll obviously want it on the DDA's page, on Tyrone's page, but the DDA page doesn't have a lot of following. And then we'll need to share it, which I know staff doesn't share within local pages. I'm not staff. So I can share it within all of the local active Tyrone pages so that they can,
Like Tyrone Connections.
Tyrone Farming, Tyrone Connections, there's like 5 of them. So,
That we'll also put it in the email blast, so Brandon's got, from people who've signed up for the town's newsletter,
Right.
he's got about 3,500, emails in there, so we'll send that out via that email blast as well.
Share it on my page as well, partners.
Good.
I'll make a motion to approve the website with the logo change ready.
Other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Thank you, Katie, for your work.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your
Looks
efforts
great.
here. Those. All right. Philip, the next one?
Just your consideration to approve a night market event on Friday, September 18th, 2026 at Shamrock Park. Council has already approved this to occur, so we just need your final approval. And then at our next meeting, I will have a contract available for you with some minor tweaks. I think we will we had our costs, what ended up happening was all of the sponsorship money came first to the town for us to cover our costs. Our costs at this particular night market were for the town, for police, personnel, things like that. It was $1,200. And so then the remainder of that, well, there was a certain percentage that went to Octavia, who did some of the fundraising. And then the remainder of that is actually coming to the DDA, which I think was approximately $1,500 actually, to the DDA. Our Porta-John rental was about $1,200, so we netted a couple $100. But that was, of course, a last minute.
4 weeks to do it.
Yeah, a last minute kind of thing. They were pushing it, and I think this next round, Jason's gonna have more time to advertise and get sponsorships and all of that, so.
The one thing that I think is important to note is that the event itself generated over $30,000
Yes,
revenue for the participants and
Yes.
all of the food trucks, the vendors. So it was, when you can track activity like that financially, you can see the numbers. It makes sense for us to, in my opinion, to keep going.
Jason said that all the vendors were very pleased with how it went.
Did Jason say how that compares to Peachtree City?
It's not near as much as he would do in Peachtree City because of the
Volume?
volume of people.
Yeah,
that-
probably half the people.
Yeah, but he still considered it to be a very successful event, and he wants to do more. I think we would certainly want to do more. The only feedback that we got was, when's the next one? So, we were in competition with some World Cup games with the Heat. So it was amazing that we actually had the turnout that we did, which was pretty decent turnout, especially for a Tyrone event, even in competition with those other items, so.
From the sponsor standpoint, couldn't be more pleased. If it was bad, I would not look forward to the next one, but
Right.
if we get this finalized, I'll call him and say, hey, put me on the list, So that's feedback, from a financial standpoint, it was worthwhile, so. Thought it was great, and good turnout too. I mean, I had a great time, not
Well,
just.
you were in the air conditioning.
He'd only help you, my friend. All the townspeople and all the police stayed over at his tent.
The officers were very grateful.
Officers were
I think you
always
saved,
in his
I think you
tent.
saved some of their lives.
They were trying to pull their bulletproof vest down and get a little air
Yeah,
down.
I know,
down
just
the-
trying for some circulation. But yeah, no, it went well. We're gonna do the next one. We actually have, and this is something else to consider, not for approval tonight, but our screen was just calibrated last Thursday and turned out nice. You have to have movie nights after dark or very near dusk, but after dark, it looks great. Visibility is good. I was a little concerned about the brightness of the screen, especially since it's going to be going through a translucent kind of, screen material, but it turned out really, really nice. The speakers are all completely set up. So for future events, we won't have, or Jason won't have those costs, and I think that's probably a little bit of us talking to him about some contract tweaks, just because if so I'll have that contract available for you at our next meeting. This is just the approval of the event for that date.
And once, I think we should probably tell Jason upon approval here today, tell Jason he can start marketing for that. I'll entertain a motion for the night market.
Motion to approve the night market for September 18th, 2026.
Second?
All right, I got a first and second. Any comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, passes. All right, public comments? You want to say anything else, Katie?
Anything, Katie? Oh, man, I was really looking forward to that this morning.
Yeah, no public comment, okay. All right, staff comments? Oh, you have one?
I do. I want to thank you for showing up and getting some stuff going.
There you go.
I feel like we're moving in a positive direction.
I do have one staff comment, and it's apology for getting the agenda out late to you guys. My ideal is to get these agendas out no later than the Wednesday before our meeting, ideally Monday before the meeting. So I apologize for that. That was on me. So just wanted to just let you know, next couple of meetings, we're going to make sure that we get those in packets to you guys early.
Well, we totally know that you're overwhelmed right now with a lot of things going on, so it's all good.
Completely on me, so I apologize.
Philip, you mentioned the other day on the phone wanting to say something on a staff comment. I don't know if you still do or not about the ordinance you're working on.
Oh, yes, thank you. That was another item that kind of got slipped a little bit. The town, I know we've been talking about this property and a lot of the redevelopment of properties in downtown, and something that the town's been working on for a while is our town center mixed-use ordinance. We have it in place. It's kind of gone through a little bit of volatility with new development that has, been proposed under that ordinance. As a result, it's been modified. Townhomes were in originally. Townhomes have now been taken out. We've talked about different ways that we can incentivize development downtown. One of the first ways to do that is to make sure that our ordinance kind of allows for the economic development that we want to see. When we started looking at downtown-related ordinances back in 2017, you just weren't allowed to build the downtown. I mean, just geometrically, you were just not allowed to do it. We had, highway setbacks off the road. Every property was non-conforming or illegal. Non-conforming because they were too small. We didn't have sewer. We didn't have the ability to actually build a traditional-looking downtown. So iteratively, we've made changes kind of toward that end. Right now, we have an ordinance that allows for flexible lot sizes. It allows for buildings to be brought close to the road. We've got other public projects like the LCI streetscape to kind of bring the sidewalk and make the street look a little bit more like a main street. But one of those other items that we've looked at is allowing for attractive development on Sonoya Road. And density is kind of like the D word. It's kind of the bad word, and it's something that we've talked a lot about over the years with council and in any ordinance development. Downtown, the maximum density that we allow is 4 units per acre. It's not necessarily quarter-acre lots. They can be in different configurations, different lot sizes, but that's the maximum that we allow, which is still very low density overall. But in talking to council and having some workshops, we've developed an ordinance and some ordinance provisions that would, with what we call performance metrics, allow for an increased density for infill properties. So we are taking a look right now at the ordinance having the TCMU having an infill ordinance component, which would allow, if you meet certain performance metrics of a development, you provide a certain amount of open space or a certain amount of public-facing space, certain architectural standards. There's a wide variety of lists of things you can get if you're a property that faces Sonoya Road only in the downtown area under a certain acreage. You can get a density bonus, which would allow you to exceed the 4 units per acre, potentially up to 6 or 8 units per acre. The reason that this is being considered is because in a lot of discussions with private development, the buildings that we want to see with commercial on the bottom, residential on top, or just a mixed-use development of any type where commercial is facing Sonoya Road, but there's acreage behind the property, it's always part of the discussion that residential is what makes these developments pencil, and it's what the banks are looking at for comps and looking at for cash flow to make sure that these developments work. And density is always part of that discussion. And so we have some ordinance provisions in place to try or in the works to try and facilitate that. But again, only towards the end of developing downtown Tyrone, not creating precedent for the rest of the town. It's just for infill properties, just on Sonoya Road, just downtown, and not of unlimited acreage. It would be for smaller properties, probably under 20 acres or so. So this is kind of the direction that we've been going. I wanted to solicit y'all's feedback on this because as part of being more active in helping the downtown, this is something that's going to be of interest to the DDA as we go forward. I did say that I would have some specific ordinance provisions, to kind of go over here, but I don't. safe to say that the direction is to look at a infill ordinance, is to look at density bonuses assigned to performance metrics to allow for mixed-use development to occur on Sonoy Road. And so that direction, just kind of wanted to get your feedback on that. Council has been, saying, let's see the ordinance, let's see kind of, examples of that. And so that's the direction that we're going. We're giving council a look at each stage. They got a workshop meeting, they'll now get some draft ordinance provisions. But again, the end goal is to facilitate economic development downtown and is to facilitate the development style that we want to see. That includes, cottage courts, it includes potential for townhomes to come back. It just gives those property owners flexibility to do those types of developments that pencil. Again, with the provision that Sonoy Road, facing Sonoy Road is some sort of commercial, something that engages the street.
Is the boundary, is there gonna be like a geographical boundary that says it has to be within this?
Yeah, it would have to, so the TCMU district broadly is only permitted in the downtown district.
That be specific, the DDA boundary?
Yeah, yes, the DDA's boundary. So it's only allowed there, and it's only allowed in conjunction with where sewer is accessible.
Sewer's available, yeah.
Right, because you can't have higher density than 1 unit per acre where sewer's not available.
There, I think in the current one, there's a minimum square footage size, right? Is that still gonna be the same, or?
It can be the same. So there's been a lot of discussion about cottage courts, not tiny homes, but cottage courts being, lots that are, single-family homes that are configured instead of individually on their own lots, they're configured around a common green space. You've probably seen some of these. There's some examples, actually, some really good examples in LaGrange, Atlanta, other small towns as well. But that is a housing style that was looked at. The same going for townhomes is a housing style that was looked at. There were some considerations or concerns about townhomes and where they're located from council. But yes, that's kind of what we're talking about. Now, the infill ordinance, the amendment that I'm proposing is not that this would be available everywhere in downtown. The infill ordinance, where you would get increased density bonuses, would only be for properties within the downtown district that are fronting and have frontage on Sonoya Road, our main street. Yeah, so, and they would have to be under a certain acreage. So if you had a 50-acre property, you wouldn't qualify for that, yeah.
Didn't they do something on the property right next door?
Next door to.
Where the drainage is right there?
Yeah, at Howell Park, yeah, that property is TCMU. It's zoned TCMU, but there's no.
Didn't they already have like a mock of like townhomes and
No.
how many you could get in there?
No, the owner does not have a mock-up
No, but I
of
thought
them.
with the LCI.
Oh, yeah, our first LCI took a look at that property and had a mixed-use development
And it was
there.
quite amazing how many they could fit on there.
Yeah, now they had more than we're even
Yeah.
talking about here. They
Right.
had like 16 units there
Yeah.
with townhomes, lofts above
On 1
commercial,
acre.
all kinds
I
of
mean,
stuff.
yeah, it was nuts. It was-
Yeah. So that was a lot that they could, in theory, fit on that piece of property. And I think that's part of the discussion is when we're talking about density in Tyrone, it's a relative discussion, right? I mean, we're not even if we double our existing maximum density allowance downtown, we're talking about 8 units per acre. The average apartment complex is 20 to 30 units per acre. So we're not talking about precedent setting that would allow for, something that people are, again, we're trying to make sure that we're addressing people's concerns. But it's a density allowance that would give flexibility for private property owners to kind of incentivize that development.
Is there, sorry, are you done? Is there any planning for future expansion of that downtown district? Or say you've got a property facing Sonoya Road, but beside that property, you've got a road, and then once the front property is developed TCMU and it's nice, well, it wants to grow down that road beside it. Does the way it's being done now, does it allow for proper future expansion if needed?
We don't have any consideration for expansion of the downtown area right now. It's pretty vast area as it stands. So, no, there's not really a lot of consideration now, given the specific example you're talking about. If there's a piece of property and it's in the downtown area and it develops consistent with that development pattern, excuse me, and the property next door wants to develop that way, the comprehensive plan would guide that process. So the comprehensive plan is a policy, it's not law. There's the potential, if council, and there was a lot of, overwhelming evidence that suggested, well, this property's in the downtown character area, this one's in the estate residential, lower density character area, but it's on the edge. A lot of those edge properties, you can have a discussion about it, but the comp plan would, by default, say no. That's the default position. There would have to be overwhelming evidence to suggest that it's more appropriate actually for this property to be encompassed in that particular character area and to develop consistent with that. So, but we have a pretty large downtown district, so it's not anticipated that we would encounter a lot of those conflicts, at least not for many, 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 many years.
Might also be limited by sewer capacity.
Yeah, that's correct. For sure. That's the number one limiter, to be honest with you, is where do we have our sewer footprint? Because our sewer footprint doesn't exist in the entire downtown area either, even along Sonoy Road. It stops at Castlewood. Right. So we have half of our downtown area that goes even further, towards Crestwood Road that has no sewer access. And so there's really not the ability to have any consideration unless the developer in their plan extends and shows their extension of sewer to those areas.
And that you have capacity available too.
Yes, yeah, and we have available capacity, correct.
I think my only thing is just square footage of a tiny home.
Yeah, our minimum square footage that we talked about was for lofts. Lofts would be 800, and then for cottage courts, the minimum would be 1,000 square feet, which, tiny homes are reaching below the 1,000 square foot mark. Usually a tiny home is 600, 800 square feet, something like that. Now lofts, are typically, they're typically 800 square feet. That's a typical kind of like 2-bedroom loft. But yeah, that's the minimum square footages that we're talking about. For single family homes, they would be, in townhomes, they would be 1,500 square feet.
Time span are we thinking about trying to get this stuff approved?
Well, I want to have the ordinance in front of council this summer. So it's kind of a little bit of a broader range, but I'm thinking September is kind of the latest that we would have that in front of them. We've got a lot of questions about it. We've been talking about it forever. And so it's one of those things where it's just time to make a move based on all the workshops that we've had with them.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other staff comments? Board comments?
We have 2 items of real estate.
I will entertain a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Katie, very much.
Thank you, Kate.